severe weather alert as our weather impact team tracks a storm that could bring fluffy snow to the area Saturday. The Queen City could pick up 1 to 2 inches of snow.
All right, well, you know, the last time we saw this area saw measurable snowfall was back in January of 2018 when 3.9 inches of snow fell in Charlotte. Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees joining us now in studio with how snow to liquid ratios make this event different than others. Britt?
Well, essentially, snow to liquid ratio is how much water would be there if you melted snow completely. And in fact, this event actually looks to be closer to 3 inches, if not higher, which would be similarly compared to January of 2018, where you saw there in those videos. So snow to liquid ratio back in the day, before we were a little bit better about weather forecasting, used to think everything had to be a 10-to-1 ratio. Then, of course, you know, the science got a little bit better and they realized that what happens not only near the ground, but all the way up in the atmosphere had a lot to do with what happens there as well. So you'll hear Brad talk about this a lot when we have the chance for snow, but we'll talk a little bit about wet snow, where there's a little bit more warm air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere and it could melt upon contact with the surface or even melt as it falls through the clouds. A typical 10-to-1 ratio is when you have cold air at every single level of the atmosphere and temperatures near the ground are closer to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's pretty rare to get a true 10-to-1 ratio here in the Charlotte area, so we're typically closer to an 8-to-1, which is essentially what you consider Carolina powder. So that means that if you had 1 inch of water, that would accumulate to 8 inches of snow, meaning if you were to melt all of that snow, you would get about 0.8 inches of water. I know this is a lot of science, but essentially think about this as the more liquid you have and the colder the air is, essentially the higher chance you have for active snow to fall. And so a lot of the forecasting that goes into it is not just how much moisture we could have, how cold it is, but also, again, how cold it is at all levels of the atmosphere. And then what's happening near the ground? Could it stick? Could it melt on contact? And again, our team, of course, working to get a lot of that mess figured out. A really positive thing about the snow to liquid ratio and how cold we're expected to be near the ground, this would be what we call still powdery, but still packable. So I do expect that you could get some sledding done with the kids. Again, if you can do so safely, make some snowmen, throw some snowballs. So this event, very, very rare. And again, more comparable to that event that we had in 2018. And Brad, I know that pinpointing the totals is going to be very, very specific, very difficult in this event. But Nick and Jane, I mean, anything is better than the ice I think we had last week. And I think that everybody can agree with that.
This much I understand. Anything is better than last weekend's ice.
I was trying to see if Jane was excited about the snow. So
Jane's like, oh no.
Yeah, neither of you guys like cold weather.
I'll look at it. It's pretty.
Yeah.